Welcome, Alex Goldman for from the stands, and today we're once again luckily joined by the CEO of No Limit Boxing and the man who is steering the ship for Australian boxing, and in my opinion one of the hardest workers in the sport of boxing at the moment, George Rose. George, thank you very much for joining us, man. We very much always appreciate your time, mate. First things first, how are things with you?
Good. I really appreciate that rap. I know there's a lot of hardworking people in the sport, so people are probably filthy with that rap. I'll take it anyway. I'm excited. We're building towards a strong finish to the year, and we've had a good year so far. So, yeah.
No, definitely. And just on that, George, look, for those that maybe casual fans of boxing, there are definitely a few of those around. I just want to get your take and basically preview this card for us, because in my opinion, I think I truly believe that this is one of the biggest fights in Australian boxing history. I truly believe that. Maybe for the fans that aren't aware, like we are, just how big this fight really is between Tszyu and Brian Mendoza. I mean, you've got the WBO champion, the WBC champion fighting in Australia. It's quite unprecedented. Just for those casual fans that maybe aren't aware, give us the rundown on why this fight is such a big deal.
Well, look, this sort of fight shouldn't be happening. This is a type of fight that in boxing usually gets avoided. When you've got two young guys who are at the top of their division, they're the up and coming stars. They're the future of the 154, the super welterweight division. But they're both the same. They're both the same type of guy that. They've fought hard to get to where they are. They've faced a lot of naysayers who said that they shouldn't be where they are, and they've got there by taking their opportunities and knocking people out.
Yeah.
Plain and simple, knocking people out. So as far as the WBC goes, Sebastian Fundora has been the golden boy of the super welterweight division. The guy who was set to become the future champion, long-term champion, impossible to beat. Brian Mendoza knocked him out cold. Yeah. He got a win that was way against the odds. And Tim's done the same. Tim's done the same in his fights. Yep. Tony Harrison, that wasn't meant to be a win. That wasn't meant to, and he did it, and he's fought his way to the top. Everyone said, no, he's a guy from down under, blah blah blah. Wait till he steps in with the big fish. The big fish have come, and he's eaten them up every time. So it's again two guys that have worked hard for what they want, and they're at the top. They're at the top. Tim's at the top of the WBO. Mendoza at the top of the WBC, and this is why this fight shouldn't happen, because these guys should be avoiding each other for the next years, holding onto their belts, defending their belts, and staying in their lanes. And that's often what happens in boxing, but not when you come to these two guys. These two guys are taking this fight and making it happen.
Definitely. So, George, I wanted to get your thoughts on a bit of a different fight that kind of got announced since we last spoke. So, obviously, Tyson Fury, Francis Ngannou has, been announced, date set and everything. This was obviously a fight that was talked about for a couple of years, but I wanted to know, would you have preferred to see Fury, fight a legitimate boxer as opposed to, the lineal UFC heavyweight champion coming over and boxing Tyson Fury in a same but different to McGregor Mayweather? Would you have preferred to see Fury fight a legitimate boxer?
There's a few fights that I'd like to see Fury have. And I hope that he does have them, before he finishes up doing whatever he's doing. I'd love to see him fight Joshua. I'd love to see him fight Usyk. Those are two really good fights that I think need to happen. But I'm curious about Francis as well. Francis, it's hard, and he's had this reputation coming from the UFC. He was always entertaining to watch. I mean, apart from the the Cyril fight,
Derek Lewis,
every one of his fights I've enjoyed. I've enjoyed all of his fights. He's big, he's powerful. In boxing, there's no limit to how heavy he can go. So I'm curious to see what weight he actually walks into the ring at. and then, how his power is going to hold off, because Fury moves so well. When you talk to people about Fury, they all talk about him having this massive motor and moving like a middleweight, having the speed, having the footwork, and having really great fitness. And whereas Ngannou, on the other hand, is a power guy. But again, he's gone 5 rounds in the UFC, so I'm curious. I do love seeing it, but I do want to see them other fights as well.
Yeah, definitely. George, it's this fight between Tim and Brian has kind of been billed as, Tim's last fight in Australia, which I think is, pretty fair to say. And he's always been a guy that, has always had that soft spot for the Gold Coast, which, being here, I very much appreciate. It means I don't have to travel. But and he's always probably had a hand in bringing these fights to the Gold Coast, and bringing particularly this one with Brian to the Gold Coast. Is it possible that moving forward that No Limit will continue to bring, pay-per-view fights to the Gold Coast even once Tim has set off to the States?
I love the Gold Coast.
Good.
I'm not even going to beat around the bush there. I love the Gold Coast. Any chance that we get to go back there again, we'll try to do it again. And, Timmy always done his training camps there. Before he started doing overseas camps, he used to always get up to Queensland and be based in Gold Coast. And it gave us a great excuse to go up and visit him, see how training was going. We love it up there. We love the people up there, love the vibe of the Gold Coast. And fighting is big on the coast. It's really good. So for us, it makes sense to keep coming back, and we will. We'll keep bringing back exciting fights wherever we can. But you're right. With as far as Timmy goes, a win here against Mendoza puts him straight up towards the top where he wants to be. Where any fight that he'll have to take, 99% of the time, it's going to have to be over in the States, because that's where these big guys are going to fight at.
Yeah, for sure. So, George, Teddy Atlas, quite recently came out and he referred to Fury as, the face of boxing. I was just sort of wondering where you sit on that opinion on, and who do you think is the current face of boxing around the world?
Oh, look, it's massive. I think Canelo's been that guy for a very long time. Mayweather was the guy. Canelo became the guy when Mayweather stepped away. Fury's very exciting. He packs out stadiums, does big numbers. Gervonta Davis is doing big numbers again. Like I think that you'd have to say that Canelo is still up there, but Fury in what he's been doing too. Boxing is a numbers game. I reckon anyone who's doing the numbers and bringing the crowds, you're the guy.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, 100% agree with that. George, circling back to this fight with Tim and Brian just quickly. Stylistically, how do you see this fight playing out? Because I think it's a fantastic fight between two guys. I mean, you mentioned, Fundora. What Brian did to Fundora was pretty incredible. To add to that, though, what Tim did to Ocampo was just as, if not more incredible. I think, finishing him in one round, who was a ranked guy, wasn't just a taxi driver, was a ranked guy. So I saw Tim was, obviously in the States in Vegas and doing his training, and, he said that he was very locked in for this fight. Ultimately, in your opinion, I know you're going to have a little bit of bias, but how do you see this fight playing out stylistically?
Look, I think it's going to be different to how Tim's fought previously. Mendoza's dangerous, and he carries that power late as well. I mean, that knockout came late in the round, so he's got to be a lot more careful with Mendoza. So that style of fights, and I said the same with Ocampo, is that it was going to be a different style of fight. Obviously, we didn't get to see more than 9. I'm not complaining about it. If he goes and does that again, I'm all for it. I'm all for that, Timmy. So if you want to finish this one in 9, no one at Gold Coast or watching around the world is going to be complaining.
No.
But it's going to be a very tough fight. Mendoza is confident. He's coming off 2 massive wins. Like that confidence, you can't train it, you can't pay for it, you can't do anything. Like he's got that, he's earned that, and he's going to be bringing it with him down to Australia. So Tim's camp, I think this time around, has been really focused, really well focused. The sparring partners have been fantastic, and he's going to need every bit of that work that he's done to be able to get this job done on October 15th.
George, obviously, the attention is on Tszyu and Mendoza for, this upcoming card. But I was wondering, throughout the card, what other fights do you think could really steal the show on that night?
Oh, well, look, I think there's a big opportunity for Sam Goodman. He's in against an exciting guy. Another co-main event for Sam. broadcast into the States. So another massive opportunity for him. And Miguel Flores is a guy who's a Showtime favourite. You know, he's an entertaining guy, someone that they love to tune into. So he gets a chance to make a statement.
Yeah.
And so it's a huge opportunity for him. We've got the heavyweights back on. Tszyu is back on. So he was in one of the entertaining fights of the year. He had a loss, but man, he there's something different about the heavyweights.
Yeah, 100%.
I think every punch that you saw thrown and landed, even the ones that didn't land, the ones that just missed were the ones that scared me the most. That lands on any man. It's over with. But look, I think the whole card is really well matched. The female fight, Chanel Dargan, Amber Amelia, both of them are entertaining, come forward fighters. So, look, they're going to be really pushing to steal the show. Absolutely, they'll be looking to steal the show. So that'll be a good one. Hass Hamden's back as well.
Yeah, like him.
He had a big performance up there at the Gold Coast recently, so he'll be looking to steal the show again. I think what he did in that fight then, it was shaping towards a fight of the night, and a big victory for him if it wasn't stopped from the cut. So again, I think that he'll want to make a statement as well. So we are in for a really good night, good day.
Yeah, definitely. George, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you. Obviously, there's one of the biggest undisputed fights this weekend, which obviously we all would have loved to see Tim in, but obviously we're here now with Canelo and Jermell Charlo this Sunday. I saw Tim said he believes that Canelo is too strong and too good for Charlo. What is your opinion on that? Do you believe that Canelo is going to be too strong for Charlo this Sunday?
Yeah, I do. I think Canelo will be too strong. I called him the face of boxing, for a reason, because he is so impressive. He's absolutely amazing. Jermell's coming up 2 weight divisions to take the fight, and while he'll have absolutely no pressure on him in participating on this fight, I think that I just think Canelo's just a different kind of beast. He's something else. Yeah. But I hope Charlo puts everything on the line and really has a red hot crack at it and doesn't get too hurt so that he can come back down and fight Tim.
Yeah, definitely. Well, look, George, last question from us, mate. We don't want to keep you too long this afternoon, but you've probably been sick of hearing about Charlo and this Tim situation. It's been going on for close to a year now, and with obviously the fight in January that was scheduled, and then the WBO mandatory, and once the Charlo and Canelo thing playing out, you're probably sick of hearing about that fight with Tim. I'm not sick about it, but you've had enough of it, sort of thing. Where Tim gets through this fight, he beats Brian, becomes a WBC super welterweight champion rather. What do you believe makes the most sense for Tim next? Would it be to secure that fight with Charlo? Is there another option that you look at and go, well, this would be a good fight for Tim? What sort of, do you look at as a next good fight for Tim?
Well, what I think that this fight does for Tim is that it makes him no longer have to rely on the Charlo fight to be legitimised and be considered the king of the 154 of the super welterweight division. I think I don't know what Charlo will do. I don't know if he'll come back. He said that he will. He said that he'll come back down, but he also said he was going to fight Tim.
Yeah, exactly.
But what I do think that it does is that it solidifies Tim as the guy in that division. And when you've got people like Terence Crawford, Errol Spence, all just at the weight below, all talking about potentially coming up. If you want to come up and be the big guy in the division, Tim Tszyu's that guy there now. So there's big opportunities there for him, I believe. And a win over Mendoza really solidifies him as the guy in that division. So anybody who steps into the 154s, to the super welterweights, you've got to talk to Tim Tszyu if you want to be the guy.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you've heard it from the boss man himself, George. Thank you very much for joining us today, man. We really appreciate it. We're wishing you all the best in preparing for this upcoming Tszyu Mendoza fight. I know that we're looking forward to seeing it. We're absolutely waiting on the edge of our seats for that one. And man, we'll have to talk to you after the event.
Thanks a lot, guys. I love the work you do. I enjoy
Appreciate
watching
it.
Stuff, and look forward to seeing you up on the coast.
Awesome. Thanks,
Thank you very
George.
much.
Appreciate it, mate.
Cheers.